Welcome to sixth grade math and for lesson 158. We are looking at the introduction to banking. I'm excited about this. I love working with money. We're looking at pages 285 and 286. You do have homework for this lesson. It is on page 387, lesson 158. And then you do have a speed drill that I'll have you take and it's 3 minutes long, so we're going to start with some introduction to banking and some different things that I'm going to show you. And so you go ahead and make sure you have your papers out. All right, so first of all, we're going to do this square root here at the bottom. And you may not be able to see, but I'll make it clearer. There is a dot there, so it's 1.44. So when you see a number like this, and you may have seen this one on your page yesterday, don't think 1.44. Look at it as a whole number. Say 144, okay? Do you know a number that's multiplied by itself to get 144? 12, right? Okay, so what you do is you do 12 divided by 1.44, okay? You put your decimal point there. Hold on. Something wrong. No. Okay. On my marker. So if 12 times 12 is 144, how many decimal places would you need to have it right there? How many decimal places would need to be in these two numbers? But they need to still stay the same. Like they can't be one of them have the 2 decimal points and one of them have none. They both have to have the same amount. So we've got 1, 2 places. So where would the decimals have to go? Okay, if you said right in between both numbers, then you'd be correct. It's 1.1 or 1.2 times 1.2, okay? So the square root of 1.44 is 1.2, okay? You see that? All right, so I'm gonna give you a couple other ones and we're just gonna see if we've got 3 squared. We're gonna go the reverse. 3 squared is what? We multiplying 3 times 2? I hope not, no. No, 3 times 3, right? So 3 times 3 is what? 9, okay, very good. What if we had 4 squared? Multiplying 4 times 4, right? We get 16. Make it a little more challenging. What if we had 14 squared? Okay, we're gonna have to multiply 14 by 14, right? Carry the 1, we get a 56. $196, okay? So that's how to figure out your squared numbers, okay? If you are given the square of a fraction, you do 1/2. I mean 1/2, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. 1/2 times 1/2. It's 1 on the top, right? 2 times 2 is 4. So the square of 1/2 is 1/4. Okay? So it is really, really simple on that. Okay? All right. Before I drop anything else, I'm going to let you pause so you can go ahead and take your speed drill. And then when you come back, we'll be looking at bank accounts. All right, I hope you did well on that quiz. Or the speed drill, okay? We're gonna be looking at some different things. A checking account, which can be opened easily at any local bank, is one way to handle money in a responsible manner, okay? So I'm gonna read a situation, okay? Mark Barber had a busy day planned. He planned to pay his electric bill, pay the doctor and dentist bills, put a down payment on a computer, shop for groceries, and buy his son a birthday present. He had over $1,000 in his wallet when it disappeared. He doesn't know if he left it somewhere or if a pickpocket took it. Whatever the case, his wallet was never found and he lost money that was needed. What could Mr. Barber have done differently to save the loss of a large sum of money? You know, banks are a safe place for people to keep money. Mr. Barber should have had his money in a checking account. He could have written checks or used electronic transfer to pay his bills, buy his groceries. Only a few places require cash, okay? Now, checkbook. A check is an order directing the bank to pay money to a person or company to whom the check is written, okay? This is a personal account of mine, but it has been closed for many years. This is one that I had when I was in college. And so these are checks that I still have because I never used the rest of my checks. And so I have these checks. Now I could go through and write void on all of the checks and you know, that helps. But for this class sake, I kept some checks so that I could show you guys what a true check is. And had we been in class, I would have let you write on some of my checks. But maybe your parents have some checks that they no longer are good, or from an old account, and they would let you mess around with some checks. But the way that you use a check is that you write who it's to. It says pay to the order of, and so that would be who it's to. So if you were, a lot of places don't take checks anymore because a lot of checks are no good, but some places will take a local check. And so if I were to go to a grocery store and they still took a local check, I could write pay to the order of, and I could write Smith's in there, okay? I would write the date that I'm writing this check. If it was today, I would write April 30th, 2020, okay? I then would write in this little square, I would write how much I was paying for, how much maybe the groceries were. So say I was paying for we'll just go 56.72. I would put 56.72 in this square, okay? And then on this line, I would write out the words for 56 and 72 cents, okay? And I can show you how to do that in just a minute. And then sometimes I may put a memo and it says for. So if I were paying, say, I usually use my checks for tithe and offering. So if I probably wouldn't use this at the store. So I might write to the church that I go to, GRBBC is what we normally write here. And so then I could write on the memo line for tithes and offerings. Okay, and that's what I like to do. And that helps me remember where my check went. And on this line is the line for my signature. Without the signature, this check does not mean anything. I have to sign the check, okay? In the top corner right here is the name of the person on the check, on the account, my address, and this at this point was 3859 Road R, Liberal, Kansas 67901. That was my parents' home address, and so that's what I put on the checks. And right here is the check number. The check number just corresponds with what the bank records say. So my checks usually start at 1,000, and so then this was my second checkbook from this bank. So then I probably wrote 25 checks from this bank before we moved. So that's not a whole lot, but that's okay. One thing that some checks have and some do not, and I have done this both ways, some are called duplicate checks. And duplicate checks mean that on the back, it makes a copy. It's called carbon paper. And so when I write on the top, if I need to put something between this and the next check, it'll come through on the carbon copy on the back, and that helps keep a record of where I spent my money, okay? There's other ways to keep that record. There's a check register that you can record, and you record your balance and then the check and how much it was for and the check number and all of that and where you paid it to, and then you balance your checkbook by subtracting that check from your total. And that's one way to keep it. At the back, there's deposit slips for this bank. That means that I can take like my paycheck and maybe any other money that somebody gives me, and I can say I would like to deposit this in my account, and when they have this slip and I write it all, fill in all the information, they'll know exactly where to put the money, okay? So that the money goes to me in my account and it doesn't accidentally end up in someone else's account. A depositor is one who puts money in a bank account. A depositor may be assessed a monthly service charge, which is a fee for the privilege of writing checks. Some banks offer free checking, all right? I usually go to a place that does have free checking. Sometimes I don't have that option. Checking, if you keep your check register or your other ways of keeping a balance, if you keep it accurate, it can avoid overdraft, a withdrawal of more money from the bank than is in the account. If you write a check for more money than you have in your account, the check bounces is what they say. And when it bounces, that means that the bank says there wasn't enough money for that check and that they're not going to pay it. And so then you owe the bank money because they usually charge a fee for a bounce check. So usually monthly, periodic intervals, usually monthly, the bank may return canceled checks cashed by the bank to the depositor. Many banks charge a fee for canceled checks. All banks send a statement showing the balance for the beginning of the period, a chronological listing of all checks and deposits, the service charge, electronic transfers, interest earned, and the balance at the end of the period, okay? A lot of these paper things have been replaced with the checkbook register, and keeping it on paper has been replaced with online banking. A lot of people do online so that I can go to my phone and I have a specific app for my bank and I can put in my password and it pulls up my bank account and it'll tell me how much money's there, and it'll show me if I've got a savings account and a checking account, how much money's in both. I can make a transfer from there, so I can put more money in my savings account so I can save it, or I can go and pay a bill, and that's really just helpful for me. All right, so just looking at a balance, if you have, I got out, Morgan, you'll probably enjoy this. I got out the play money. So in this stack, I counted out $237 and then 62 cents, okay? All right. If I were to go to a bank and I were to say, I would like to start an account, I have $237.62. They're gonna count it, okay? They're not just gonna take my word for it and say, oh, she says she has $237.62. Then we're just gonna put it in. No, they're gonna count it, and that's good. They wanna double check, they wanna make sure that it's accurate, and if it's not, they're gonna say, well, ma'am, you have $238, or you have $235. And so they're gonna adjust that, and then my new balance, so if I'm accurate, if my money count was right, and their money count checks out, then I have a balance of $237.62. Most banks require you to have $100 or more to start an account. Now, they may not require a minimum balance. Some do require a minimum balance that you keep a certain amount in your account. Some just say that as long as you don't go past zero, that you're fine, okay? So we're just gonna go with they needed $100 and they don't have to have a minimum balance, okay? $237.62. If I write a check for $89.78, then we need to know what our new balance is going to be after that check comes out. All right. So, as I was saying, sorry, I paused it so I could do this. So, if I were to write a check, and I wrote it, and say that this was my tithe and offering, maybe this was the amount that I needed to give or wanted to give, and it's $89.78. Now, you see that I wrote the date, I wrote where it's to, the church, I wrote the number amount, 89.78, and I drew this little line, and that just shows that nobody can try to change this. Sometimes people try to change it, and you know, if they find a check or something and they may change it. So if I draw that line, that means that's where I ended it. And down here on this line, you may see it says ATEIGHTY. You spell out the words, and then hyphen, because 89 is usually hyphenated, and NINE, and then I write the word. Now I wrote that wrong. My dad would not be happy. You're not supposed to write dollars there. If you make any corrections to a check, and this is, I'll just show you. If you make any corrections to a check, you cross it out in a neat line and you write your initials, and that's how you make a correction. So really, you just write 89 and 78 over 100. That shows cents, because 78 would be out of 100 pennies, right? 100 cents. So 78 over 100, and then you draw your line, and then the dollars is written at the end of the line. I wrote down here offering, and then I signed it to show that it is correct. So then I would take my check, I would fold it back, and I would tear it out, and here's my check. And on the carbon copy on the back, you can faintly see, but you can see enough to see, oh, I wrote that to the church, and I wrote it for offering, and I can see the amount, $89.78. And that helps me keep good records for my banking. All right, so now, what's our new balance? $237.62 minus $89.78. So we want to line this up correctly, and we want to subtract, okay? So 12 minus 8 would be 4, 16 would be 15, 15 minus 7 would be 8, 17 to 16 would give us 7. Yes, sorry. 13 to 12 gives us 4, and 2 to 1 gives us 147.84. Okay, that wasn't as neat as I would like it. But our new balance is 147.84. That means that I no longer have $237 in my account. I only have $147. If I spend more money, I'm going to end up running out of money unless I make a deposit, okay? We're gonna come over here, and we're gonna pretend that this was the same account, but probably months later. And now I'm up to $1,673.95, or I'm sorry, $1,673.95. Okay? If I make a deposit, see, check means minus. Deposit means add. Okay? If I make a deposit of $189.43, I'm going to take my balance on $1,673.95, and I'm going to line up with the decimal, right? We put our decimal in the same spot, put our numbers around it, and I'm going to add this top, okay? We'll see what my new balance is. 5 plus 3 is 8. 9 plus 4 is 13. Don't forget the decimal, carry the 1. We got 9 plus 4 again. 13, carry the 1. 16, 1, 7, 8. We don't have anything to carry, so there it is. Your new balance is $1,863.38, okay? So that is what happens when you make a deposit. They add it to the balance that was in there, and they give you your new balance, okay? So check means you're taking away. Deposit means that you're adding to it, all right? So I want you on this page to do all of these. It's all about banking, so read them carefully. If you are having trouble with that, just see if you can go back. I sent those forms, the cubes method. Remember, circle your numbers and units, underline your question, find any extra information and cross it out. If it's not necessary, just cross it out. Like if it tells you the date that it went in and it has nothing to do with the answer, cross out the date. You don't need the date. It's not going to matter what date you put it in for that question. And then put a box around the action, and then you can estimate. You can see, okay, well, does this make sense? And then you can solve for that. But go through those steps if you're struggling with this. If you're not sure and you've gone through all of that, then say something. We can get you some help. All right. So do all of those on there. Sections 2 and 3, I want you to do all of those. Section 4. Go ahead and do all of section 4. Pay attention to your AM and PM, but also your numbers. I noticed that on one of the pages that was turned in, and I think it was just, you got it right on the other ones, but I think it was just you forgot, and you had 11 a.m. in Alaska and 9 a.m. in Hawaii, and so it's only 1 hour, so it'd be 10. So just keep that in mind. For 5, you can pick 2 of them to do, and what number are we multiplying by those? Our degrees. What was the number of about how many miles are between each degree? 69, okay? 69, so multiply by 69. Number 6, go ahead and do that one. I think we'll get another practice on that. And then 7, you can pick 2 of them to do, okay? So hopefully you got all that. If not, you can go back a little bit and hear the rest of it. That's our introduction to banking. And then tomorrow we're going to find simple interest, and so we'll get more into banking and figure that out. But I'll let you go and have a good day. Don't forget about the homework, and we'll see you in the next lesson.